Thanks for joining another episode of Hoops Hitting Gems. This is episode number 45. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight as usual. Have another good show. We're going to call this show tonight. It's going to be JUCO Monday tonight, where we have two coaches, one on the men's side and one on the women's side. Our first guest, good friend of mine I've met a little while ago, actually before he even got this position, when he was at his old position as an assistant. He was at Florida A&M, and now he's the head coach of Southwest Tennessee Community College. Good friend of mine. We want to welcome to the show, Mr. Coach Jarrod Stevens. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. I appreciate you having on, man. We've been talking about it for some time now, and I'm glad we were able to, make it work.
Definitely, man. Man, I just wanted to bring people on, man. Number one, I wanted to congratulate you, and I've already have, for getting the head coaching job at Southwest Tennessee. That was big time. And, I just wanted to talk about the program for people that didn't know about the Southwest Tennessee Community College option as a basketball program and as a school. So we're going to jump into that tonight and just basically introduce people that aren't familiar with their program, and they can get familiar with it. Okay.
Okay, no, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to it.
So we'll start off with you as a coach, man. Before you came there, you were at FAMU as an assistant, correct?
Yep, that's correct. I was at Florida A&M. I was privileged to work for, Robert McCullum was my head coach there. I was able to be there to complete 4 seasons, and all of last summer until the opportunity that I was blessed with now at Southwest Tennessee Community College as the athletic director and the head men's basketball coach. Previously I was at Florida A&M.
Okay, and now that you're at Southwest Tennessee, a lot of times I like to break it down for people. Southwest Tennessee is a JUCO Division I program. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're a Division I JUCO located in downtown Memphis.
Okay, downtown Memphis with the barbecue. Okay.
Yes, sir. Beale Street barbecue, FedEx Forum, blues, jazz, R&B, culture, history, and all of that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So what region are you in for JUCO D1?
We are in Region 7.
You're in Region 7. And what other schools do you play that are in your region?
There's a total of 10 teams. You have Rowan State actually represented us at the national tournament this year. They did a great job.
Okay.
You got Rowan State, Columbia State, Dyersburg State, Chattanooga State, Volunteer State, Walter State, Jackson State, Cleveland State, and I'm sure I'm probably forgetting somebody, but that's the gist of it.
Got you. And for people that want to come to Southwest Tennessee, is it possible for them to go on full scholarship, or is it dependent on them needing a Pell Grant? How does that work coming to Southwest Tennessee State?
We have various ways to make that work. We do have scholarships. Sometimes our scholarships are balanced out with the Pell Grant and financial aid opportunities that some student athletes are able to receive. But we do have scholarship opportunities. We have 5 out-of-state scholarships that I'm able to allot to student athletes, and then the rest we utilize state of Tennessee residents.
Okay, and so do you also utilize work study as well?
Yep, we do have work study.
Okay, got you. So that's really on the tuition side. And just the ballpark figure, what is the tuition there at Southwest Tennessee?
In-state, and the tuition kind of varies by your class load, books, things of that nature. But in-state is around $1,500, $1,600 a semester. Well, anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600 a semester, and out-of-state can jump up to around $6,000, $6,500 a semester.
Okay, gotcha. And that's still not bad, because a full Pell would basically cover half the year, basically, if they're full Pell eligible.
Correct. Full Pell for in-state students will cover it. Will cover it, and they'll get some money back. And for the out-of-state students, it'll cover, like you said, about at least about half of it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what majors are available? Just some of the big majors. I'm not asking all of. I'm sure there's a plethora of majors, but
Yeah.
what majors do most of the team go after usually that are popular?
From what I've seen, with this first semester, and even across the board, nationally, I see that guys are doing general studies, associate degrees, but we have everything from nursing to physical therapy to um, we just had added a new one with aeronautics for
Okay.
pilots. So we have a wide range. Business, obviously, accounting, all of the business majors we have. We have
Okay.
a wider range uh, of majors available.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little basketball. So you said you're in Region 7. Do
Mhm.
you have any guys that are moving on to 4-year schools this year?
Still working on the placement part. It's a difficult process with the portal and everything. And as a
Yes.
as a previous Division I coach, I understand the process. I try to make sure that my student athletes and their parents understand the process. Where the majority of 4-year schools, whether that's NAIA, D2, D1, they're going to the portal first.
Yes.
And that's the reality of it. They're going to the portal first, then they'll get the JUCO, then they'll get the prep, then they'll get the high school.
And-
But at the semester, I had a young man sign and go to Mississippi Valley at the
okay.
semester break.
Okay.
And just recently, a few days ago, I had a young man commit to Mississippi Valley.
Okay.
So I still have some young men that are gaining interest, some guys that have offers that are, weighing out their options. But I have some young men that are still available, that can play on every level. I have a couple of Division I talent guys that are still available, and I know because I'm a former Division I coach. I have some guys that can play on the Division II level, and I know because I'm a former Division II coach. I coached at Clark Atlanta and also coached at Lemoyne College.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some guys that are NAIA level and Division III because they're high academic guys. And
Yes.
we, like I put on my tweet, 4-year coaches, we have someone for everyone.
And that, man, and that's the way it's supposed to be, man. And so I just want to touch on something, especially with you being a former D1 coach. How tough is it for these high school prospects this year, man?
Man, it's tough, man, because not only with the growing number in the portal, but then you also have the guys that still are going to get their COVID year.
Absolutely.
So you
Yeah.
still, what people don't understand is, people think that the whole COVID year thing is over with, but it's not. This year was the first year where guys were taking advantage of the COVID year. But if
Absolutely.
you backtrack to last year's seniors played in 4-year colleges. Last year's seniors are playing this year as a COVID year because
Yes.
that's what they were godfathered into. But what people have to understand is that goes for the juniors, for the sophomores, and for the freshmen. So you
Mhm.
still have that COVID year that's going to be taking place in the 4-year schools for another 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then even for the JUCO level, as far as that's concerned, you have, guys that traditionally only get a chance to play 2 years of junior college.
Now they get
Next
free.
year, you have the final round of guys that will have their COVID year in the junior college level. So that is, also affecting the high school kid.
And
So you
so
have the portal, then you got the COVID year, and all of
and,
that is really affecting the high school guys.
and it's so funny you mentioned that because people don't even realize it's affecting, they only think it's affecting 4-year schools, but it's affecting JUCO as well because,
That's
like
right.
you said, next year will be the last of the guys that took advantage of the COVID year in JUCO. So technically it'll be their 3rd year, correct?
Correct. So that's also taking more scholarship opportunities off the table for, young men and young women that are in high school.
Yeah. And so when you approach a possible recruit like that, how tough is that to say, hey, we want you in our program, but it is a possibility that depending on the number of COVID players that elect to come back, uh, you're looking
What
at, go ahead.
right, and what high school students young men and young women need to understand is any scholarship opportunity that they get from wherever it is, whether it's a 4-year school, whether it's a junior college. I know everybody has the Division I dream. I get it. I played in high school, so I had the dream. I had, like I said, I've coached on every level, so I understand the Division I dream. But that dream is a scarce reality for many students. You have 350 Division I institutions across the country, but in each school, everybody doesn't get 15 scholarships.
Yeah.
So if you figure everybody gets on average across the board, let's say 12 to 13 scholarships every year, but that doesn't mean, but the reality of it is each school on average will have anywhere from 2 to 4 scholarships available every year.
Absolutely.
So if you do the math, that leaves, roughly 1,000 Division I scholarships available every year, for high school students to try to take advantage of. And if you're not ranked a certain thing, or, your talent level isn't at a certain level, or you're not playing in a certain area where you're getting a certain level of exposure, when you get those opportunities for scholarships, wherever they come from, I don't think, what I do think is some high school students are taking that for granted, and they're looking past the opportunity.
So, okay. This brings up another great question for you, man.
Okay.
When you offer somebody, do you give a timeline before you move on?
Me personally, I don't. But what I tell them is, for example, I have 5 out-of-state scholarships.
Okay.
And I have, I was just coaching at Florida A&M. So obviously I have, relationships across the state of Florida. When I was at Florida A&M, the Southeast region was primarily where we recruited. And my recruiting area was Georgia, parts of Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee, and things of that nature, even though I went outside of those areas. But like for me, for example, where I'm at now, I have 5 out-of-state scholarships. So if I offer a potential student athlete a scholarship out of state, and I have 3 out-of-states returning, so really I only have 2 out-of-state scholarships. Yeah. Well, I have 2 returning. I was able to sign one young man from Florida already. Okay. So I have 2 out-of-state scholarships remaining, but I have probably 3 or 4 offers out there for out of state.
First come, first serve.
Yeah, so I don't put a time limit on it, but I always deal in truth and transparency in everything that I do, especially when dealing with student athletes and families and things of that nature, and everything that pertains to my program. So I'll tell them, I'm offering you a scholarship and I really want you, and you are a priority. But what you have to understand is I only have 2 out-of-state scholarships and I've offered 3 people. So whoever takes advantage of it first, because I want people that want to be here. I don't want people to look at my program as a last chance as a last opportunity or as a last resort. That's not what this is. Southwest Tennessee Community College men's program is not last chance you. And I make sure that they understand that.
And so now that you said that, so here's the thing that's interesting. So would you take a guy that could come on a full academic scholarship, even if you're if you're out of scholarships? Would you take
Definitely.
that? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. High academic kids that can get a full, that's a benefit to me. And I would think any program across the country, a high academic young man that could come in and get full academic money, that's, for lack of better words, a free player. Yeah. So, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to that. Now, unfortunately, some potential student athletes, their pride gets in the way. And if you tell them, look, you can come on an academic scholarship, or, you're full Pell, or in Tennessee, we have, Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Hope and different things they can sign up for that will, compensate them for their scholarships, or, they might think less than, but that's not the case. That's an advantage.
Not only is that not the case, but when people sign that letter of intent, and I know you're going to agree with me on this, who knows whether you gave the money, they got the academic money, All they know is you're going to go play basketball and it's going to be paid for in some form of fashion. Nobody asks when somebody commits, is it a full academic ride? Is it a full Pell ride? Nobody asks that information. And like you said, I want people to get out of the narrative to think, oh, because I'm going in an alternative way, that you're any less of the next player that's going on an athletic scholarship. You could take his starting spot at any given day.
And even further to that point, you know, a lot of student athletes need to humble themselves and understand the value in a walk-on opportunity.
Yeah.
So if your family has the means, or, you know, different scholarships or Pell Grant or whatever the case may be, where you can afford to be a walk-on, that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, that's just one of the things, like, I always want to put that out there for people that listen to the show and watch this show. Like, a walk-on opportunity or a full academic opportunity, it's still an opportunity, because as we both know, number one, it's less than 7% that move on to play college basketball in any form of fashion. So not only is it a blessing and an opportunity, but it's a privilege as well.
That's correct. And I've, even in my experience at Florida A&M, when I first got there, we had a young man that was a walk-on, for example. I believe by his second year, maybe third year, worst case scenario, he was a captain on the team. His senior year, he was halfway through his junior year, he was given a scholarship. His senior year, he was on scholarship. And this year he was, you know, he got his COVID year, and he was a great contribution to the program. And, you know, he worked hard. He utilized the opportunity that he had, and took advantage of it. And even here at Southwest Tennessee, I had, you know, walk-ons that were on my team this year that contributed and that played.
Okay.
And I'll have walk-ons next year that contribute and play.
Which leads to the next question. So that lets me know, as a JUCO, you often have an open tryout then, correct?
I'll have open tryouts. I'll have workouts where I bring guys in for opportunities. You know, I have quote unquote tryouts that are open, that I promote, and everybody can come in if they just see the promotion. And then I'll have, you know, more private, more selective workouts where I target guys that may have caught my interest and bring them in for workouts as well. Yes.
Okay. So let me ask this as well. With you being a former, you know, assistant coach on the D1 level, are you still going to the live periods in camp?
I will. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will, because it's one of the things I've been fortunate to do over my years. I've been coaching for 25 years on various levels. And one thing I've been fortunate to do is build relationships. And by attending those live periods, not only am I able to, you know, touch base with people that I have relationships with, whether they're high school coaches, AAU coaches, fellow college coaches, but it gives me an opportunity to identify players. You know, I pride myself in having a good eye. So, you know, sometimes I can see things I feel that other people might not see at the same time, or might not ever see. You know, everybody looks for different things, but I feel it's important to still attend those live periods as a junior college coach, you know, not only for the fact of following up and showing support for those coaches, those AAU and high school coaches, but also for potential student athletes that I've identified, to follow them and track them, but also to evaluate them, but also to identify additional guys that I can put on my list.
Okay, got you. Sounds good. So let's talk about this past year, how it went, and your roster that you had this year.
So this past year, it was a great year, as we've already stated, and as you know, it was my first year. I accepted the job in August. August 16th was my first day. School started 5 days after that. So I hit the ground running. The majority of the roster was already made up. I was able to bring in a few guys, you know, there at the end, and in the late enrollment period. During that time, I was able to bring some guys in. We had a good year, man. It was a great year for me to learn, A year of challenges, a year of obstacles, but a year of victories as well.
Okay.
A year of building great relationships. One thing that I say to my guys, and I said that we have pregame meals, like I'm sure most people do, and at our last pregame meal, and we do prayer. We do a prayer at every pregame meal where either myself or one of my guys will lead the prayer. But one thing that I said at the last one that really stuck out to me was when I accepted the job, I was coaching somebody else's guys. These were the guys that I was coaching this year.
Okay.
But by the time, the year was over, they're my guys. These are my guys that I had the privilege of coaching and building relationships with this season. And, genuine relationships that will last a lifetime were built throughout the course of the year.
Okay.
We had a good year as far as wins and losses are concerned. There's an asterisk on our record. Our official record was 14-16 overall and 11-7 in the conference, finishing fourth place. Now that's what our official record was. What we actually earned was 18-12 overall and 14-4 in the conference, which would have put us in second place in the final standings. And the reason we had to forfeit, we actually had to forfeit 4 games that we won due to compliance issues that took place prior to me accepting the job.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, as far as what we actually earned, 18-12 overall, 14-4 in the conference, that's something that is a testament to the hard work that my guys and my staff put in.
Definitely. So what's a typical day for a student athlete at Southwest Tennessee?
I have a few guys that are doing in-person class. I have guys that are doing virtual class. But a typical day would be, obviously class throughout the course of the day, whether your class starts at 8 or whether your class starts at 9 or 10:20 or whatever the case may be. Our practice schedule, kind of fluctuated with our women on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We practice from 4:30 to 6:30. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we practice from 2:30 to 4:30. Okay. Now, on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where our practice starts at 4:30, we would have weights at 3:30. Gotcha. So I'm an adamant believer in strength and conditioning program. I've been privileged to have a strength and conditioning and personal fitness background. I was a personal trainer myself. I've created strength and conditioning programs for college programs, high school programs, and even for a small stretch there while we were in transition at Florida A&M. I did our strength and conditioning with the men's basketball program. So, on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll have weights at 3:30 from about 3:30 to about 4:15. Then we'll get on the court 4:30 to 6:30. And we may have film after. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll have, like I said, practice from 2:30 to 4:30, and then we'll go to study hall. So in preseason, I was doing study hall twice a week. We lifted 5 days a week, but we would also do study hall twice a week, and then we would go straight from study hall. And we had our study halls in the library. We have a beautiful campus, beautiful library. We actually have 5 campuses across the city of Memphis, but we're located in the downtown campus. And we would have study hall twice a week in the library, and we would be able to reserve a computer lab with the movie screen. So after we would have study hall, we would roll right into film. I'm a huge believer of film. It's something that I learned a lot about, and from the preparation standpoint, from coaching with Coach McCollum at Florida A&M. I already understood the importance of preparation, but he kind of took my understanding of it to a whole nother level. Okay. So, we're gonna have a serious strength and conditioning program, which continued throughout the course of the year. Mm-hmm. It would go from 5 days a week lifting, where we would address different body parts, on a daily basis, to where we were trying to make gains and get stronger and get more explosive and get faster and all those things in the preseason, to where during the season it would turn into more of a maintenance thing, a muscle endurance thing, more of an injury prevention thing, flexibility, balance, things of that nature. And then study hall was, that's huge for us. So I was very and am very strict as far as academics are concerned. Um, Last year's team at Southwest had a lot of success. The coaches did a great job. They won the conference, went to Hutch. But part of the reason that I was actually brought in was because of the struggles that took place academically.
Ah,
So,
okay.
and some of that may have been due to COVID, the COVID factor. Some of it may have been due to the structure factor. But regardless of the reasoning, when I accepted the position, the team GPA was under a 2.0.
Ooh,
So, that caused a lot of concern to the administration, to the president, obviously, of course. But at the end of this past semester, our fall semester, our team GPA is now a 3.05. And that is based to the structure that we have in place and the accountability from an academic standpoint.
okay. Hey man, that's a long way from being under a 2.0 to over 3.0, man.
That's
That's
correct.
big time right there.
I
And
appreciate it.
this is the question for you. So, how many graduating seniors do you have leaving your program?
I will have 7 to 8 guys leaving my program this year.
Okay.
Yep.
So you'll have 7 to 8. So that means you'll have probably what about eight roles you'll need to fill this year, right?
Yeah, I have roughly about 4 guys returning. And then I had some, I was fortunate to have some great red shirts this year. That's another thing,
Okay.
that I implemented, and I'm sure I'm not the only coach in the country that did that. But I had some young men that, you know, from a development standpoint, weren't quite ready to be on the active roster this year. So they participated with everything with the team, great guys, practiced every day, came to strength and conditioning, came to study hall, went to all the team activities, all the community service, rotated who would travel.
Okay.
So I have those guys that are in the mix this year as well. So,
Okay.
but basically, like the rest of the JUCOs in the country, it's a reload almost every year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's huge, man. Like just like one of the viewers that are watching, yeah, that GPA, that's big time right there, man. And so, just out of curiosity, how many red shirts do you take on average, or would you take?
Well, this year, I mean, I can't really put a number to that. Obviously, I wanted to be a manageable group because, like I said, those guys did come to practice every day. And if you look at our team picture, they're in our team pictures
Okay.
because they're a part of the program. You know, they played a vital part. They competed every day in practice. They're
Mhm.
they had the same expectations and accountability as far as you need to be here now. You need to, do these things academically. You need to come to this community service. You need to come to this team activity. So I would say maybe five,
Okay. So,
5 or 6.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And so those would be the people you red shirt, and then after that red shirt year, you would definitely give them those 2 years afterwards. Correct?
Well, the benefit of redshirting is it doesn't burn a year for them,
Yes.
and that was the explanation for that I had and the conversation that I had with the student athletes and with some of their families. And some guys chose not to and go elsewhere, which was perfectly fine. But
Hmm.
I just basically explained to them at the current time they weren't where I felt they needed to be as far as being a part of the active roster.
Hmm.
They are welcome to stay a part of the program from a red shirt standpoint and compete. And this year coming up, those guys, like everybody else, will still have to compete for a place on the active roster. Just because they redshirted this past year does not guarantee them a spot on the active roster this year. It
Definitely.
gives them a leg up, but it does because they know that they know what my expectations are, and they understand the offense, they understand how I am, and my level of accountability, and they were all if they're still a part of us, they were great teammates. So
Yeah.
that gives them an advantage over a newcomer.
Let me and as we wrap this up a little, I always ask every coach this: How important is it to come to? It really doesn't matter which level, but I want people to understand that this is universal. How is it important for it to come to the coach's system at Southwest Tennessee and know the shell drill and defensive principles?
I think it's important to have a good foundation, but I'll say this. It's important, more important for me, it's important to have a good foundation. I'll say that
Okay.
at first. But it's more important for me that guys will buy into my philosophy because everybody's defensive philosophy is different.
What's your
Some
philosophy?
people, obviously the help line. I like to force baseline.
Okay.
On baseline drives, I rotate counterclockwise. On middle drive, rotations are huge for me.
Okay.
Closeouts, jam the catch, give a little space. No middle drives, try to prevent paint touches. Actively box out, hit a body, make contact. 50-50 balls are huge for me. So I would say more along the lines of being able and willing to buy in, high energy, enthusiasm, loud communication, specific communication. Those are some of the things that when it comes to shell drill, flying around, not jogging not just going through the motions because it's real. We don't help strong side corner. A lot of people do. Just and understanding not only from the shell drill, but shell drill, since that's what we're talking about, how it translates and how you have to pay attention so you can carry it over into a real game situation.
So, okay. So that means you're looking for prospects that have high motors then.
I'm looking for prospects, and I tell coaches this all the time, guys that are mentally and physically ready. That's what I'm looking for, guys that are mentally and physically ready, whether they're transfers, whether they're preps, whether they're high schools. None of that really matters to me. I don't care about any of that. I don't care where you come from, as long as you're mentally and physically ready, because the mental side of the game is huge for me. And you can dribble, pass, and shoot all day long, but if you don't know when to dribble, when to pass, and when to shoot, that's not going to do us any good. And with my education background and writing curriculums on mental health and mental preparation and all those types of things is really important to me. And that's something that I really stress, and how the game translates into life. And, we can have a whole nother conversation about, that's a whole nother conversation about my passion on the mental side of the game. But guys that are mentally and physically ready, man.
Definitely. And man, it's so funny you mentioned that mental part. That's a whole nother ball game. Like you said, that could be a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah. I've actually wrote a curriculum on that. The mental aspects of sports is a curriculum, and I sprinkle it in to my guys throughout the course of the year on how to deal with different situations and different things from the mental side.
Definitely. Hey, Coach, man, let me thank you so much for coming on. I know we've talked about this the past, 3 or 4 times we've seen each other, like, man, we'll get you on. Like, when we get a chance, and I appreciate you for coming on and, supporting. And, I just wanted to, again, congratulations for you to getting the head coaching job and having this very successful year, man. That's impressive, going 18-12 with the asterisk, like you said, in your first year. So that means I'm expecting more from you in Region 7 next year, and possibly a trip to Hutch next year.
Man, that's the goal. That's the plan. We're definitely going to work. And I just want to, thank you again, man. I'm glad we're able to get this done. I just want to leave you with this, with the culture that I've laid the foundation with this year, and this is, again, a carryover from the success we had at Florida A&M. My philosophy and my program is a holistic culture. It's based on academics at the top, academics, athletics, mental health, social awareness, and community involvement. And, in each one of those different categories, I have structure, high expectations, and accountability. And I think with that foundation in that culture that I have laid for my program, not only will we be successful as far as wins and losses, but more importantly, out in life. My young men, when they leave me, they will be in a better place than what they were when they became a part of the program. with the assistance of my, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my assistant coach, Coach Maurice Miller, who's done a great job in helping lay the foundation.
That's big, man. That's big. And you always have my support, and I consider you one of those guys that do it the right way, man. And I only expect to see bigger things from you, man, as you continue to build your platform there at Southwest Tennessee, man.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Anytime. I'd love to come back.
It definitely won't be your last time, man. I appreciate you, man. You have a good one now while you out there in Vegas enjoying yourself, man. Okay.
Yes, sir, brother. I appreciate it, man.
All right, man.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job, man.
And I appreciate you, man. You take care, okay?
All right, you too.
All right. Coach Stevens, man, good friend, met him in the basketball community, saw him out there, and I like what he was doing. And, we've always kept contact. We talk basketball, but as you can see, this is a bigger thing when you're talking life as well, when you're trying to get young men and women to a certain level to let them know it's bigger than basketball. And our next guest, met him just recently, and I was intrigued when I met him. I saw the hustle and grind, and I liked what I saw. And, we just connected real quick. And, man, we made some moves already together. And I had to congratulate him already. I had no idea it would move that fast. But I want to introduce everybody to, like I said, this is going to be JUCO Monday since we have both head coaches from the junior college platform. But he's on the women's side. Coach Riley May from Harcum Community College in Philadelphia. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thanks. Just to let the listeners know, man, we got together, I noticed the hustle and I just reached out to you, and man, one thing led to another quickly. And, now one of your young ladies is moving on, which is a great thing, man. I'm happy for you, man. Definitely congratulations on that. But in that whole situation, it just hit me like, hey, man, let me bring you on the show to introduce you to the rest of the world that is not familiar with Harcum Community College, man. So let's get into it and talking about your program. Let's talk about you first, man. What's your background?
My background. So I'm from the Poconos, about an hour and a half north of here.
Yes, sir.
Small town. Ended up played 4 years there and everything like that. Ended up doing a year of prep school. I went to the Petty School in New Jersey for a post-grad year. From there, I went to I played at Norfolk State for 4 years. Was part of that first championship team in 2012. I was a sophomore on that team.
Wait, that isn't the team that knocked off.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that, man.
So we knocked off Missouri in the first round.
Yeah.
Ended up playing Bradley Beal's Florida team in the next round, which was rough. They were good. It was a cool experience. I tell people all the time, like, that tournament experience there's nothing like it.
Okay.
Following year, we went 16-0 in conference. We were, I think, one of only 3 teams in the country to do that. Graduated and started coaching at my old high school for about 3 years.
Okay.
Got into college coaching. I was on the men's side at Lehigh. I was a Dobo there for a year.
Okay.
Then got the opportunity at Harcum to switch over to the women's side. I was as an assistant. I was good friends with the head coach. At the time, me and her went to the same prep school. I was an assistant for 2 years. Then the year that COVID hit, that summer, I ended up getting the job as a head coach when she left.
Man, is that you rocking the TSF jersey there, man?
Yeah. So one of my boys that I went to school with at Norfolk State, he was at TSF for a while. He ran their post-grad program. Yeah, Rob Johnson. Yep.
Yeah, Rob was at Illinois State now.
Yep. That's my guy. So like 2 weeks when I was transitioning from high school to going to Lehigh, he hit me up to work at camp for like 2 weeks. I got to work out it was big time players there. Like Wendell Carter was in high school then. Got to help out and work out with him. Got to help out with the workout with Jack Favors. So a couple pro guys. So it was a dope experience for sure.
Okay. Yeah, TSF is up and coming. They have a really amazing platform on the post-grad side. And technically, they're starting to get into the girls' side as well, which is another big thing, a big move for TSF as well as they expand their platform. And, once I seen the shirt, I said, you TSF. Okay. So, man, tell us about Harcum's girls program and just introduce us. Tell us some more about that now that we know about you.
So Harcum has a very rich women's program. We're the first athletics program at Harcum. Harcum used to be an all girls school back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But we have like records on the wall where teams were getting like 27. We're like 27-1, 29-2. So I'm just trying to build the program back up to that level. I won't say we have down years. Our down years are a lot of people's average years. So trying to get the program up to a very high level. Our men's program has kind of been the standard for years. I think they got to the semifinal. They got to the Elite Eight at Hutch last week.
Okay.
So trying to build up the women's program to kind of get to that level as well, where D1 coaches feel comfortable, stashing a kid for a year or two, where really good high school kids feel comfortable enough to come in for a year or two, and we help them find a great fit and stuff like that. But Harcum to me is a great place. I think a lot of Northeast JUCOs get slept on, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of talented kids up here, but a lot of those kids that need JUCO situations in the past have been going to
Florida,
Midwest, Texas, and stuff like that, Kansas, which is great. I'm not saying anything's wrong with those programs, but I want to get Harcum to a point where people especially in this area, feel comfortable, coming here for a year or two, doing their thing, and then finding a great fit for them, afterwards.
So for people that don't know about Harcum, where is it located at?
We're in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. So Kobe Bryant grew up pretty much in this
right
neighborhood.
Outside of Philly.
Yep, Lower Marion's like 5 minutes away from here. Villanova is about 5 minutes down the road. St. Joe's is about 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
So right in the suburbs, right in the main line. It's a beautiful area. So not your typical JUCO in terms of kind of being in the middle of nowhere and stuff like that. Philadelphia is 30 minutes away. So I think we're kind of like in a prime time location in terms of where we're at and stuff like that. There's plenty of things to do. So our kids are entertained. There's enough stuff to kind of keep them busy outside when they're not on the basketball court and stuff like that. So Harcum to me is in a great spot.
You're not far from King of Prussia, right?
Nope, King of Prussia is about 15, 20 minutes away. So
that's what I thought.
Girls love that recruiting visit. Okay.
Yeah, family, and I'm from Pittsburgh originally, so
yep.
why I'm naming off all this stuff. And it's the other side of the state, but I have family in that Philadelphia area as well, so I know that whole area very well. So that means
that King of Prussia Mall is a big sell.
So you're basically getting a lot of Philly, Chester, Lower Marion kids. Are you getting some Jersey and like Delaware kids as well?
Yeah, so we have how many kids? We have 2 Philly kids. We only have 2 Philly kids on the roster right now.
Oh wow!
We got a couple Jersey kids, a New York City kid. We always usually hit New York City pretty hard.
Okay.
Couple Delaware kids. 1 kid from Maryland. 1 kid from Virginia. We actually have a kid from the UK.
Wow. Okay.
From London, stuff like that. So we had kids from a little bit of all, kind of all over, but we're pretty regional in terms of recruiting wise, stuff like that.
Got you. So let me ask you this. So with you getting the UK kid, that's interesting. They don't get it. Is it on your scholarship or are they paying completely out of pocket?
So they get the scholarship, but they have to pay the whole boat in terms of housing and stuff like that.
Okay, got you. Now, do you have housing or is it on them to find an apartment somewhere?
Yep. So we have dorms, so they can stay in the dorm.
So they have dorms, and I'm assuming you guys have a meal plan set up for them as well, correct?
Yep. Meal plan. They get meal plan, everything like that, and everything else is covered in the scholarship.
Man, so you're a lot of JUCOs don't have that, man.
Yeah, it's a nice setup. I'm trying to tell people it's a nice setup.
That is a nice setup. If you have everything right there on campus, you can't beat that. So Let me ask you this, especially with you just getting on, how big are you on player development?
Big. I tell our kids all the time, when recruiting, they come in on visit. Like, if you leave the same player as you did when you came in, we wasted our time. We wasted your time, and you wasted someone's money. Someone paid for you to come here, and you wasted your time. So I'm big on player development. I'm big on self-player development as well. So I tell kids all the time, kind of my background at Norfolk State. It was a rude awakening at Norfolk State for me. Like, I came in as a freshman, and we had an NBA player in the team. My mindset was kind of like, I'm just coming to practice and I'll be good. Like, it don't work. That level don't work like that. At any level, it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing in terms of wanting to get more playing time, I was getting up on my own at 5 a.m. to work out.
Yeah.
So I tell our kids all the time, like when they visit, like, don't come here if you're not gonna get in the gym on your own. Like, yes, I'll get you in the gym. I'll work you out. I have no problem with that. My assistant will work you out. We want to see you get better and improve and stuff like that. But you got to have your own internal drive to get after it as well. So I tell our kids all the time, like, yo, get in the gym, get shots up. So play development is big. That's the point of JUCO. You're coming to JUCO for a reason.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you're under recruited, not good enough yet. Those small tweaks that you need to kind of work on. So working on while you're here. I like to think of junior college is almost like a skill factory type thing. Like it's a great place to get better and really hone in on your game.
Definitely. So just real quick, just to get a real quick feel for the school, what type of majors do most of your team take?
So we have a few in criminal justice, a bunch in general studies, a couple in allied health. That's pretty much the crust of it. But we've had kids in like veterinary studies. We've had dental hygiene majors and stuff like that. So we have a pretty wide range of majors, stuff like that. I try to steer our kids away from those more in-depth majors just because of it kind of interferes with practice time and stuff like that. But my thing is if you have a pretty good feel of what you want to do, I have no problem with you kind of going into your major, stuff like that. And on the flip side, if you don't know what you want to do, great, go into general studies and take some electives so you can kind of figure out what you want to do, once you're ready to transfer out.
Got you. So let's talk about your roster and your team this past season. What was your record this past season?
We finished 18-12.
Okay, so you finished 18-12, and what did that put you in the conference? What place?
We finished regular season. We finished in tied for second. We ended up because of the tiebreaker. We ended up getting third place, and we ended up losing in our championship game. We got to a championship game this year.
And who did you play in the championship?
Union County College in New Jersey.
Oh, in New Jersey, yes, Union County. Yeah. Yes, familiar with Union County. Okay, and do you have any young ladies moving on to four-year schools?
Yep. So we have a few. Alyssa Herder, will likely end up getting an offer. She didn't officially get that offer yet. That you were talking about.
Yeah.
We'll likely get that offer in the next couple of days or so. Courtney Turner will be moving on. She has some D1 interest. Jayla Atkins will be moving on. Everyone else I have a few kids that can move on still, but they have that kind of option to come back as well. So we're kind of putting out feelers and stuff like that, and kind of gauging their recruitment and stuff like that. And they don't my thing is that they don't really find the right fit. All right, we could talk become stuff like that. But my mindset is kind of like if you had those 2 years of opportunity and stuff like that, and it's best for you to kind of move on. Let's find you a great fit, so you can transfer out and stuff like that. But I have a bunch of kids that will end up having 3 years. We had a pretty big class come in last year, and they got their year back.
Okay, so they have a COVID year, or did you give them a redshirt? Okay, so they have a COVID year.
They had that COVID year, yeah.
Okay. Now, do you ever redshirt, or since it's your first year, will you believe in redshirting kids at some point?
Yeah, I'm not too far against it. We actually just got a commit recently who's coming off an ACL injury. She'll be healthy to play. She's actually 23, but she was thinking about graduating early and coming in and redshirting. So kind of decided not to. But yeah, I'm not opposed to redshirting a kid. I was kind of interested in what the other coach was saying before I came on. I was like, I never really thought of redshirting a kid in that way, strategically and stuff like that. Our men's team has done that in the past, and it's worked out well for them. So I may consider it.
And it's funny you say that because a lot of coaches that I bring on the show, exactly to your point, what you're saying, and there's nothing wrong with learning strategies or taking tidbits from other coaches as well. I've been DM'd and text about that numerous times where they may have watched the first person or they stayed on and watched the second or third guest and be like, man, I really like that guy. Do you have his information so I can talk to him? And really, this platform is for parents to understand and meet new coaches on all levels. But a lot of times the coaches are just as active as well in meeting on the men's and women's side. I think that's great. And, it's just one of those things where, when I first saw you and saw what you were doing, I was like, oh, he has that hustle in him. I could see it, and I respected that. And, when I reached out, I was like, hey, man, I see you're doing X, Y, and Z. Is there anything I can do to help? And you're like, yeah, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And, things moved, and that was great, because that's what even this whole social media platform, that's what just meeting people at conferences, Final Fours, D2 tournaments, D3 tournaments. You get in when you fit in, and when you meet those people, you take full advantage of it. And, I'm sure you're building, you already have a number of relationships, even though you've moved over to the women's side, you're still building those relationships and you're meeting people on a regular basis. Let me ask you this: for people that are in the Pennsylvania or in that regional area, or even outside the regional area, that are interested in your program, how can young ladies contact you, whether it be through Twitter or social media or email? How can they reach out to you?
Social media is fine. My Instagram and Twitter are both the same. Coach Rye 31, the word coach, letters RY and 31. My email is rmaye at harcum.edu, and Twitter and emails are always open. I check them all the time, stuff like that. So anyone who's kind of interested, stuff like that, I take a look at every kid. We're in junior college. I can afford not to take a look at every single kid. When I worked at Lehigh, it's funny, but I used to get so many of those emails.
Oh,
you had a D1 school, like, I'm not checking that email. It sounds bad. Like, just kind of letting people know how it is, stuff like that. But now being at this level, now, like, I can't afford to, because you never know, you might find a gem in there, something like that. So eventually, if I get back to that level, I'm gonna take that approach the same way. Like, you never know who's in your inbox.
Absolutely, or at the very least, have either a grad assistant checking all of them, and then get to you and say, hey, give me the best 10 that you came across. And because, like you said, you never know. And in these days and ages, you don't want to miss out on that one kid that could end up being an all conference, or just helping you win. That's what it comes down to. We're in a different age of recruiting, as you just said. And now social media and a plethora of other ideas through the internet are, people have to embrace them, and it's here to stay now. And, you're starting to hear stories, just like the young man, he came from Florida. He emailed every coach in the country pretty much. And Ohio finally responded to him. He ends up being first team All MAC, and he gets drafted.
I forget the license kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I was like you said, you just never know. Who's to say you might not get that kid? You just don't know. And, it's just one of those things where, like you said, it's you probably and an assistant, right?
Yep. So I have one assistant. We're actually looking to hire one more. Last year we had two assistants, but one of them actually got a job she's an assistant coach at St. Francis, PA now.
Oh yeah, St. Francis. So she's a D1 now.
Yep. So we're looking to hire a young assistant now.
Okay.
So if anyone's looking for a job, reach out as well.
So from from that level, and from the JUCO level, let me correct myself. Like, you're pretty much wearing a number of hats at one, because of course you don't have the D1 budget. So from recruiting to strength and conditioning to player development to, scheduling to study hall, that's pretty much you and the two assistants, right?
Yep.
Like
it's funny going from that D1 level to here. Like I tell people all the time, like sometimes young coaches kind of ask me, like, how do you get in and stuff like that? I'm like, JUCO is a great opportunity because you do everything. I'm grateful for my operations experience. I think it's helped me, once I got the head coaching job and stuff like that. But as a JUCO coach, you do everything. Like that assistant who ended up moving on, she had her current boss reach out. That was to kind of learn more about her and stuff like that. And she kind of asked me about her experience. I was like, hey, she's done literally everything. Whether it be on the court coaching, recruiting, recruiting out, like trying to help our kids get scholarships, elsewhere and stuff like that. Managing academics, setting up visits for recruits and stuff like that. Community service stuff. So You get a ton of experience. Like you say, we wear a ton of different hats. So to be at this level, you gotta have that dog and that hustle in you. So
Definitely.
It's a different type of grind. It's a different type of grind.
No doubt. Let me ask you this, just from a curiosity standpoint, would you recruit players from the other side of the state in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. The nice thing about Pennsylvania, I learned about this last year. So especially kids that are like Pell eligible, they can apply for that FIA grant, get some extra money and stuff like that. So PA kids, there's definitely an incentive to try to get some PA kids so we can help them out a little bit more, financially and stuff like that.
And to your point, what you just said, you hit it right on the head. Like the city of Pittsburgh kids have that Pittsburgh promise. As long as they go to school in state, it's paid for. And that's even more attractive than like, even if you were to take on a project, like it's not hitting your budget. So I would definitely have to reach out to some of the inner city kids that are, possibly looking. Now, let me ask this as well. Are you a D1 or D2 or D3 JUCO?
So we're D2, which is the right level for our program based on like location. So there's not that many D1 schools around us. Like
correct.
We play Hartford Community College in Maryland every year. We'll play Monroe in New York, but there's not that many. Well, sometimes we'll travel as well. So my first year as an assistant, my second year as an assistant, we went down to Florida to play some D1 JUCOs down there. But there's not enough D1 JUCOs up here to kind of make it worth it financially and stuff like that. Well, there's more D2 junior colleges up here and stuff like that. So this makes sense for us, in terms of levels and stuff like that.
So you play in jamborees too in preseason, correct?
Yes. So we haven't done them in a while. COVID has kind of messed that up and so that. My first year we played in a Maryland JUCO down there. My first year as an assistant. Actually working on something in terms of trying to get a Northeast JUCO jamboree up here. We're talking to some junior colleges in New York and stuff like that. Trying to work that out for next year and stuff like that, to kind of give our kids some more exposure and stuff like that, get them some more game experience.
Definitely. I like the sounds of that. We'll talk some more about that as well after the show. But just in leaving, and I asked, just like I asked the last JUCO coach, your defensive principles. How important is it to know the shell drill?
It's important. I think just having kind of what the last coach kind of said in terms of just having that foundation, and just realizing I need to be in the help with that. I agree with in terms of like just being open to learning something new. So I try to treat the JUCO thing as almost like like a G League coach.
Gotcha.
I read Mick Nurse's book, and he kind of talks about experimenting with different things. So this year we tried tagging up, which is basically all five crash all the time. It's a little bit more complex than that, but all five crash all the time. And if the defense ends up getting the ball, you're pressing up right away up the miss. I feel comfortable trying that here. Whereas maybe at a D1 level where there's a lot more scrutiny, maybe I don't try that. This year we tried peel switching. So I like experimenting with different things and trying some new things out. But kind of in basics of what I like to do, I like to force baseline, take away no middle. Like to get up in pressure when we're able to. We play some zones. We do some floppy zones in terms of switching up the zone in the middle of the possession and stuff like that. Just trying to make the offense think and stuff like that. But the defense is important. Defense is important. That was kind of our calling card throughout the year. We weren't a great offensive team in terms of scoring in bunches. Our defense kept us in a lot of games and made us really competitive. A lot of games we won, we ended up holding the team to 55 points and stuff like that. So, which is good. So defense has kind of been our calling card the past 2 years. Last year we had we beat some nationally ranked teams, and it was based off our defense and stuff like that. So that'll kind of always be our calling card.
Gotcha. I mean, I like that, man. I like what I hear, man. And like you said, it's even being JUCO D2, JUCO D3, or JUCO independent, it's really about the grind of the coach and getting out there to get his team seen and getting them in front of coaches for that exposure, like you just said. And like you said, you got some D1s interested in your players. There's some D2s. Like I said, I'm sure there's some PSAC schools looking. I'm sure, like I said, there'll be some NAIA schools looking as well. And, and another thing, and this is one thing I've been really big on, like D3 schools. I feel like they really should pay attention to JUCOs as well. Now, I understand some of them don't take junior college transfers. Okay, I get that because that's an academic thing. But the ones that do, those D3s, you really need to get at these JUCO kids. And some of them will say to me, "Oh, I don't feel like I can get them. They're above my," and and I know that's not true.
For sure. I think not just D3s, but I think a lot of schools kind of think that way in terms of JUCO. Like JUCOs have a nasty stigma about them, and I don't know if I can help dispel that. Like when I was at Lehigh, we had a JUCO kid. When I was at Norfolk State, we had JUCO kids. And they were successful. They had great careers.
Now I want to stop you right there, and you just said something, and I will clip that as well. Lehigh is a high academic school, right? Yep. And they take JUCOs, right?
Yep.
There you go. Just like Binghamton, New Hampshire, a bunch of those schools take JUCOs and they're high academic. And it's the misconception that high academics don't take JUCOs. That's nonsense.
And I think that now obviously the type of kid obviously matters and stuff like that.
Sure.
But like just the same way every college looks at high school kids. Every college be looking at JUCO kids. Like, I hate when coaches kind of tell me or you kind of just feel it, like when coaches don't respond to my emails. I'm like, yo, all right, we're not talking to Gino. I'm not hitting up UConn and like that. Like, if I feel like a kid could potentially play at your level, at least respond. Check my kid out. We have there's a lot of really good JUCOs in general. A lot of really good JUCOs in the Northeast. There's a ton of D2s, D1s. There's every level in the Northeast. Like,
absolutely,
be open to everything. I think every kid can kind of fit into a box. Like, obviously, every kid can't go to Lehigh, stuff like that. So it's basically an Ivy League school.
Yes,
people high academic, JUCO kid. Why not? Why can't they?
And you touched that. Like, Lehigh's the Patriot League. Patriot Leagues do take JUCO kids.
Yeah, and again, and Matt, like, fit is obviously super important and stuff like that. But I think if a JUCO kid can fit into that type of situation, and just being someone who worked at that level, it's like academics are the number one thing. It's not like people say student athlete. Like, a lot of schools, it's athlete first. Lehigh is not. Lehigh in the Patriot League is not like that. Like, academics are at the most premium. Same thing with Ivy League schools.
Yes.
So if we can get a JUCO kid to fit into that, it wasn't easy by any means.
Yeah.
But if we get a JUCO kid to fit into that type of situation and end up being successful, graduating, having a good career and stuff like that, why can't other kids do that and stuff like that?
Definitely.
I'm sure there's plenty of JUCO coaches that feel like that. Hey, I have a high academic kid. Why can't they fit? Why can't they fit into that situation?
There you go. Man, I can't thank you enough for coming on to the show, man. And, people don't understand, man, the value of JUCO. And like you said, it's not like some last chance you. Like, there's some very good basketball, and there's some kids that are very good academically as well. They just chose, for whatever reason, whether to stay close to home or, to develop more as well athletically. That's just a situation where people have to understand that, listen, this is another way to get to where you want to go, whether it be PSAC, D2, D3s on the East Coast, D3s on the Midwest, NAIAs. I mean, you and I both know there are a plethora of schools in that area. Within a couple hours, you can touch every level. And, why not? I just look at it as, why not? Especially when it's a valid situation and you can achieve your dream or goal of whatever you're trying to do.
For sure. I think every kid, like I tell every recruit that's on their visit, like, Harcum is never going to be your first choice. Like, you didn't wake up one day saying, as a sophomore in high school, hey, I want to go to Harcum when I'm after my senior year.
Yeah.
But if you have a goal in terms of what level you want to play at or what type of school you want to play at, and you didn't hit it for whatever reason, it could be COVID, it could be you didn't play for the right AU program, your grades weren't right, whatever. This can be a great opportunity for you to come in, have a good career for 1 or 2 years. Production is important and stuff like that. and we can help you get to the place that you want to get to. I tell every recruit that when they come on a visit. I tell every recruit, like, hey, it's not sweet. Like, don't, that's because you were recruited by D1 schools at one point or D2 schools at one point. Don't come in here thinking it's sweet. Like, oh, I'm about to go average 30 at Hartford. Like, yo, we play some really good schools. Like, we played 2 or 3 teams that did well in the national tournament and stuff like that. So it's it's a grind. Like, it's a grind to get playing time. It's a grind to really produce at a high level against some of these high level teams and stuff like that. So I think Hartford is a great opportunity. I'm blessed to be in the position I'm in. And now we're just, last year we had 6 wins. This year we had 18. Now it's a matter of continue to build on that and pursue a championship and continue to help these kids find great situations for good scholarships and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Hey man, Coach May, I appreciate you coming on, man. And, for the people that don't know about Harcum, I hope you learned a little bit more. Coach May is definitely accessible on Twitter, as most coaches are nowadays, but definitely reach out. He's a good guy. At the end of the day, it's about finding the right fit. And if Harcum's the right fit, by all means, check it out. And, this won't be the last time I have you on the show, man. I know that grind this time next year, but I can't do it until we get back from the tournament next year.
Hopefully that's the plan. That's the plan.
Definitely.
If that's the case, that means we did our job.
Absolutely.
We did our job this offseason.
I can see it happening now. So I wouldn't be surprised a year from now when I have you back on the show and say, look at you. I don't even know you no more. You're out here killing it now. But man, thanks again for coming on the show, man. Definitely this won't be the last time coming on, man. I was glad we made the connection and to do some things, and actually to let you know that is coming, just to let you know. I just got off the phone earlier today. That is coming. That's a phone call confirmed, basically, just to let you know. And congratulations to that as well.
Appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on and I'll talk about our program some more and kind of put a spotlight on Harcum for a little bit.
Definitely, man. Definitely. And like I said, we will definitely keep in touch. If you need anything, I'm a phone call away, man. You take care, okay?
Sounds good. Appreciate you.
All right. Anytime, man. Coach May from Harcum College, man. I tell people all the time, man, JUCO, take that nasty stigma off because there are a lot of good players that can help 4-year programs. And it's not a situation where they got to recover grades or, yes, there are some situations like that, but you have to understand JUCO is a very valuable opportunity to help you get to that next level, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAI, what have you. And nowadays, even Canadian colleges for you people that aren't familiar about that as well. So that's going to wrap up the show for tonight. Listen, definitely love JUCO Monday, as I wanted to call it today. Those coaches grind on a whole different level because they wear multiple hats to get their program to where it's at. And both the coaches that were on tonight, they will definitely be moving their programs in the right direction. So tune in next week. Excellent show for next week. It'll be the Monday before Final Four weekend. I actually will be in New Orleans that Thursday, so I'll have the show Monday, and I will probably do a special show while I'm down in New Orleans Final Four weekend. So you guys tune in. I want to thank you again for joining, taking a look at Hoops Hitting Gems, episode 45. You all take care and see you next Monday.